For some reason, men have the impression that women don't really like men, meaning they're not attracted to them. It's not something important to them. And a lot of my clients' misunderstandings and just general men I see on social media, they make comments. Like I just saw a comment today. It was about, something with dating, and a guy just responded, women don't like men, they like cars and money, and some guy posted, yeah, it's so true. And I'm like, no, men like cars and money. I mean, women are attracted to like a super nice car, or if a guy has money, it's definitely a plus. And so, for some women, it is the most important thing, but they're in the minority, right? Outside of the obvious, like money is needed for survival kind of situation, right? But this understanding that like men or women don't like men is just absurd to me. It's really never made sense. The only problem I had was, or do women actually like sex, right? Which sort of is just a continuation of it, right? But on a deeper fundamental level, right? Like, I never had a problem thinking that women don't like men, but I just never understood quite how much women like sex, and they love it a lot, which also does mean they like men because men are the ones giving them sex, right? For the most part. But I never really thought that women didn't like men. It was very clear that they liked men. I just didn't think they liked me. And I didn't have much issue admitting that they didn't like me or thinking they didn't like me. But there actually was a lot of initial attraction there. I just was blind to it and didn't think much of myself. And that might actually be the truth for a lot of you. Like, you think that women don't like you, but there is so much proof that they do. You're just not opening your fucking eyes. And there are so many more women giving you approach invitations, signs of interest. And it's like that meme where, you wake up in the middle of the night 3 years later and you're like, oh my God, she was flirting with me, because some random fucking memory comes into your head, right? Oh my God. Like, even me, like, how many times have I missed a girl giving me signals, even when I was good, because, I was going through a bad time, or I wasn't feeling so good about myself, or I just wasn't fucking paying attention. Right. But what I'm talking about is this fundamental misunderstanding that women don't like men. And this is wrong on two levels. Women love men. They just love being around them. They like speaking to them, talking to them. And then on the second level, they love being intimate with men. Like, it is so exciting for them. Here is the positive proof of that. And then I'll give you the negative. Meaning, like, sort of like if I'm trying to sell you on going to the gym, right? The positive motivation would be, you're going to look so good, you're going to feel great, blah, 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 right? And then the negative thing is, you're not going to have a heart attack at 45, you're not going to be a fat fuck, a lazy piece of shit, right? So you have positive and negative things that can prove it to you, right? So here's the positive side of it. The positive side of it is, take how much you are attracted to women, sexually and just romantically, I guess. You just find their elegance and gracefulness and feminine aura very disarming and soothing and comforting, okay? Take that, plus nice titties, nice ass, you just want to spread them cheeks and fucking go to Pound Town, right? Let's not be fucking, children here. Let's be very honest about our feelings. There's a lot of lust involved with it, right? We want to fuck the shit out of women. We want to just tear them apart with our dick, right? And I know that's how you feel. And if you don't think that's how you feel, you're probably lying to yourself, because almost every man feels this way. But then that goes into sexual shame and you not willing to accept your sexuality. But that's, I guess it's a tangential subject. But yeah, think about how much you love women sexually and romantically, okay? Like, sit there and think about like the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. Think about, a girl you used to have a crush on, or how good it felt to actually kiss a girl. If you've never even kissed a girl, right? Or think about having sex with a girl. If you've never even had any experience, just think about how enthralled you've been with a woman, right? And just in her presence. Take that and then just flip it. And I would say maybe even magnify it. I would say on average, women love men more than men love women. Probably, yeah, maybe. I'd say it's definitely equal. And if anything, women maybe like men a bit more. They definitely like sex more than men do. It's just that a lot of guys aren't doing it for them. That's why they're not giving it to a lot of guys, because guys don't know how to turn them on. But oh, do women love sex? But let's stick with the first part. Like, women just love being around men. They love how men look. They love how men speak. They love how men act. They love how men move. They love that they love all the little silly things about men. How, in one sense, we're so brave and courageous, and then we can turn around and be really shy and sweet. And they love that contrast between, he's a monster one second and then a sweetheart the next. They love the fact that, we're protective, and we can be really aggressive. They love that we can be silly and that we're so enthralled with games and playing games, right? Because everything men do is pretty much a game, right? You grow up playing with toys, and then you're getting paid tens of millions of dollars to kick a fucking ball around and shoot it into a net, okay? And they're some of the most exalted people on earth, all right? They love how we look. They love when men are really masculine. They also love seeing feminine kind of men who can be very, have a lot of the masculine traits, but then look feminine. And they love that mix of, and if you don't think women like feminine men, you have no experience with girls. You don't get pussy, bro. Or you've never been around dudes that get pussy, and you were just in some weird fucking echo chamber with fucking trailer trash. Like, women love feminine men, right? But who still have masculine traits and energy and assertiveness and aggressiveness, and are going to bend them over and fuck them, right? Women just love men in all aspects. And if you ever have doubt about it, just think about how much you love women and then ask, well, okay, why would it be any different? Like, really? I mean, let me fix this light. 1 second. I need to get my lighting perfect because I got to look pretty for the men, right? I'm trying so hard to look good for men. It's kind of funny, actually, right? Because this channel is geared towards men. But, I mean, just why wouldn't it be? It's kind of silly. Like, why wouldn't women like men just as much as, the only reason you would come to this conclusion is if you recently had a bad experience with a girl, or you never had really good experiences with girls. Because even a guy who has a lot of experience with women, he might be going through something with a girl, an ex-wife, a baby mama, an ex-girlfriend, or a girl who went with another guy, whatever. And he's just bitter, right? But then he eventually gets over it because he gets some new pussy because he actually gets action. Or it's the guy who really doesn't have experience, right? And it's a spectrum, right? The more experience you have with women, the more it becomes difficult to think that women don't like men. Because, like, why would they be sucking your dick, right? So let's get sexual about it. Like, what do they get out of it? There's something about it that they enjoy, just like some men get off on eating pussy. Like, I like eating pussy. Why would they suck dick? Like, it's not stimulating anything, but it's stimulating something in their mind, right? They love to have your masculinity in their mouth. They want to absorb it, right? Just like you want to thrust into femininity, right? So just anytime you have doubt, just flip it and then think, why wouldn't it be the same for women? But if you haven't had a lot of experience, then you find it hard to believe. And then that's when the cope philosophies begin to blossom. Women only like men with money. Okay, go get money and prove it. Women only like men with looks. Well, okay, start to dress good and get in good shape. And then see, you'll get some success, but then you'll struggle a lot more than you think. And you'll be like, okay, clearly that wasn't the situation. Women like men with status, yeah, sure. But then you're also going to still fall into traps where you do get rejected. You're going to be like, well, what was it? Then you have to either expand your theory. Okay, well, it's status and looks, right? Oh, well, actually, no, status, looks, and money. Okay, well, which one's number one? Which one's number two? And in what context? Well, okay, and then you meet a guy who doesn't have any of those and who gets a girl. And you're like, well, right? And then you either have to find some way to cope or you have to expand your theory. And that's essentially what every man's journey is, including mine. Right? I always thought women liked men, but I just came up with the typical, oh, they like when men are douchey, this and that. And then I eventually accepted, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Right? And maybe all of these things that I'm accusing men of being douchey for, like basically just like being, a little bit confident and sexual, oh, you're such a douche, right? At the end of the day, it's just like you're hating on a dude for feeling himself, right? And I said, okay, maybe I'm just being a hater. Let me try do all these things that obviously are working and just replicate it and see if it works. And it did, right? But then I found there was a lot of nuance and there was a lot of contexts where this behavior was good or this behavior wasn't good. So then I started to tinker and go, okay, went deeper and deeper and deeper. And I was like, okay, in this situation, arrogance is attractive, but in this case, it's not. Why? What's the variable that's switching between these two? Well, maybe it's not arrogance. Maybe it's the fact. And I started, finding every little nuance and detail in the system until eventually I'm like, oh, I think I've kind of boiled it down to, its fundamental constituents. And I started understanding what trust is and what love is and what lust is and how they're all interacting with each other in this kind of pyramid. But then it's also about how you're expressing your love, lust, and trust towards her. And then that's making her calibrate how she feels about you. And then the fact that she's watching your body language and your facial expressions and your eye contact and listening to your words and how you say them and is always constantly observing you and her opinion is always going but that wouldn't have been a possibility for me to expand my understanding had I not started from the fundamental belief that women like men. Because if they fundamentally don't like men, then our species wouldn't even survive. Like the fact that we even have to have the discussion is sort of proof that they do like men. Because if it was so abundantly obviously clear, then we would, be having to, trade, meet the women on the other side of the wasteland and, offer water and food and just enough men to, impregnate their women. And then they would offer, enough women for us to have to create humans. And then, they would be like, oh God, I must do my duty. No, it's not like that. Women go out looking all pretty in clubs and dressing up and da-da-da. And they like to flirt with, they fucking love dudes, right? They just don't like you because you suck. Right? Or maybe you don't suck, you're just like okay, right? But then you're like, oh well, I want to be great. Well, if you want to be great, then you got to be great, right? So the negative explanation that proves how much women like men is sort of on that vein, but it's I'm just flipping sides again. So look at how angry men get, right? Guys who are incels or they're red pillars or they're black pillars or whatever, right? Take how angry they are, right? And then they say they fucking hate women, right? If you hated women so, and this is just like across the board, I could say it in 10 different ways. Like, it's like men who post like how much they don't need women or how, we should be focusing on ourselves. If you were so focused on yourself and women weren't important, and you were, happy with your career or, chasing your passion or going to the gym, you would feel zero compulsion to fucking post on a random comment on YouTube or Instagram that you don't care about women. That the only important thing is, going to the gym and making something of yourself. Like, it wouldn't even cross your mind to feel the need to express it. Like, what motivation would you have to let the world know? Oh, yeah, women shouldn't be important. Are you spreading compassion? Oh, all these men are deluded by how much they're enthralled with women. But I know the truth that, you should just care about yourselves and we can make a society. Like, what is driving you? Clearly, this negative emotion is a result of a positive that has been ionized in the other direction, right? You liked women, you had a crush, and then something happened and boom, right? So all of those criticisms that women are like, who hurt you? And the men are like, that's not a counter argument. You need to argue me with logic. It's like, it's a pretty fucking good argument when you're just mad. I mean, if the foundation of a lot of your beliefs is just anger, then who hurt you, bro, is a pretty fucking good response. Because all of this may have logic, but the foundation is not logic. The foundation is emotion. And you're not being rational. You're just stacking rationality on top of emotion and then calling the whole stack rationale. But really, it's a stack of bullshit coping for an emotion. Because men, can be so extremely emotional, far beyond women's capabilities. Because we are far more capable of extremes than women. In any respect, IQ, status, money, success, we occupy the extremes. We're either the worst of the worst or the best of the best, right? Um, and so when it comes to understanding that women actually like men, just look at the opposite. Look at women who are angry with men. Oh God, just go on fucking Instagram. Like every incel has an equal and opposite femcel. It's like a fucking Hector's first law of sexonomics, right? It's like, for each and every action is equal and opposite reaction, blah blah blah, whatever, right? I'm smart. Every time I see a dude being angry on the internet about women, it doesn't take that long. I just have to scroll, and the algorithm hits me because they know what I like, and it's some fucking girl. Fucking men, I choose the bear. Fucking you would rather be in a room with a 800-pound grizzly who's gonna fucking maul you to pieces and leave you like half eaten as you slowly rot to death and bleed out. Oh, well, at least the bear's not gonna, grape me. And it's like, yeah, most men aren't gonna either. And most men are, like 99 out of 100 men are just gonna be like, hey, what's up? I mean, like 85% of men in the room are gonna be like too scared to talk to you, right? And then like, 13 or 14 of them are gonna, maybe try and mac on you and talk to you. And then maybe that one or two guys out of 100 or 1,000 or whatever are gonna, maybe even attempt to do something. They might not even finish the job, right? It might be 1 out of 1,000, not even 1 out of 100. But like way more than 1 out of 100 or 1,000 bears in a room with you are gonna fucking maul you. You're flipping a coin, bro. I mean, you're not very intimidating. So it's just kind of silly that women would even come up with such a fucking stupid idea, right? And if I had to choose between getting graped and getting mauled to pieces, I'd probably choose graped. It's kind of silly that these philosophies would even be espoused, right? But the fact that they're there is demonstration that they really like men, because there wouldn't be such a potential for so much negative emotion unless there was also a potential for positive emotion. Like there must have at some point been such a positive emotion of love and desire and hope and, dreams and aspirations, and then got cheated on. He didn't like me back. He didn't text me back. It got ionized in the negative direction, and then it's, and sometimes it's somewhat warranted. He beat me. He did, SA me, whatever, right? But it sort of proves that there was deep down a love of men. Because if there wasn't, it would just be like, yeah, totally expected men to be pieces of shit. And I've always felt that way. And it's just whatever. It's just like a lightning strike. It sucks that it hit me, but like, it's just, that's lightning. Lightning's going to do what lightning's going to do, right? Women would have the same kind of like neutral, oh shit, that sucks kind of response to men. But the fact that it's such a is proof that they kind of actually expected different and hoped for different, right? And just like with men, how much of that negativity is because you just suck, bitch. Like, you just aren't that interesting. You just aren't that hot. Sorry. You just aren't X, right? Just like every guy who complains about women, like, maybe you're just not that attractive, bro. Maybe you're not that interesting. Maybe you don't have game. Maybe you should make something of yourself. Why do you expect why do you expect anything above a 6 to like you, right? We're just giving arbitrary numbers of value. Obviously, it's not that simple, but, it helps kind of framework our discussion. Like, just be better. But I think that if you take time to realize how much women do like men and how much women love sex, like, oh my God. Oh, God. If you don't think women like sex, you aren't good at it, because you haven't seen how they will thirst after it, beg for it, cream from it, orgasm from it, scream from it. I mean, it's the simplest argument, but it's so good. When's the last time you heard a guy going, oh my God, oh yeah, oh, it's so fucking good? Really? I don't think I've ever heard a guy. And I've lived in a frat house before and heard people fuck. And people have heard me fuck, right? Now I'm a bit vocal, right? I'll do my growling and my moaning, and women like it because they want to see how much you like them, right? It's proof that you like them. But like on the vast majority, it's the women going, oh, ooh, oh, ooh. And then of course here comes the femcel. She's just faking it. We just fake it. It's like, well, maybe because you didn't have a guy who knows how to fuck right. But no, it's pretty hard to fake those tremors and that leg shaking. And I can tell when things are going right. I'm sure I've been faked on, sometime, but probably not as much as the average guy. But if women didn't like it, they wouldn't be doing that. And if they didn't like men, they wouldn't even feel the need to fake it. Well, we just feel like we have. Why? Why do you have to fake it? If you don't like us or care about us, then why would you even feel the need to fake it in the first place? Clearly, some part of you cares what we think. And if you care what someone thinks, then you like them. Because if you didn't care, right? If my cat doesn't give me hugs and kisses, I get upset. Why? Because I love my cat. And I want her to give me attention. And when she runs away and doesn't give me purrs and hugs, well, I'm upset. Right? Same thing. If I go after a girl that I like and she doesn't reciprocate my feelings, of course I'm upset. Right? The fact that I had desire in the first place proves my attachment. But, I get over it and I just go for the next one. Right? But I think if you actually really sit down and ask yourself, like, do I have this in me? Because you might think that this is an obvious video that you don't need to actually think about. But I promise you, I have a lot of clients. I've taught a lot of dudes. And I don't think I know of one client who has truly understood because you would lose so much of your fear and shame, and you would gain so much confidence if you knew how much women like men and how much they like sex. They just may not like you, but you don't know that until you actually, give it a try. But it's, it's like a Schrodinger's experiment, you got to open the box to see if the pussy's wet or not, right? It may not be wet, but it doesn't mean women don't get wet for the guy opening the box. It just wasn't for you, and that's okay. But pussy's always going to get wet for a guy because women like men just as much, if not more, than you like women. So take how frustrated you get, how excited you get, how upset you get, how happy you get, how horny you get, how devastated you get, positive and negatives, right? And think about how much of that swirl ocean of emotion that you have for them is in you, and then just flip the mirror and realize how much they feel that for you. Then you'll get an idea of how much women like men. So contemplate that, jerk off about it, think about it, and I think it'll help you. It's more of a macro philosophy, but it'll have a lot of positive effects. It'll help you, go for sex quicker, right? Why wouldn't she want to have sex on the first date? Women love sex, right? It needs to be the right guy in the right context, right? And the higher her standards, the more difficult it'll be, but it is possible because women like sex. You just got to be the right guy, right time in the right place. Say the right things. Have the right skill. Got to be good. Why wouldn't she want to date me? Why wouldn't, she want to be asked out? Why wouldn't she want to text me back? Right? It's just at the end of the day, it was just a skill issue, or in some cases, you just never were supposed to be that guy. But that's by and far some of the least numbers of reasons. I think if you have really good skill and really good charisma, you can attract a fair majority of women. I would say more than the ones who just would be totally off limits to you no matter what because you just aren't it for her. I would say there's a far greater range of possibility of yeses depending on your skill level than that box of girls who just would never like you because whatever reason. I guarantee if you find a certain context, a lot of those girls would actually say yes. They just won't give you the time of day in the beginning. But if there was a certain context, they saw you with a hot girl or they knew you through a social circle and actually had a chance to get past their biases, they would actually be open to it. I'd say probably 80% of women. 20% of women just fucking no. Just going to say no to you every time. That's just a vague number. It could be a little bit less, a lot less, or a little bit more. I don't think it would be much more than that, to be honest, though. It could even be less. So think about it, jerk off about it, and see how much of that lack of belief we could even call it a limiting belief. Words. And if you get rid of that limiter, then yeah, you can jump to a new level. You're never going to fully understand it until you have experience. That's the proof is always in the pussy, right? Once you feel enough wet pussies, you go, oh, I mean, it's kind of hard to deny that women don't like men because look how fucking great I am, right? But you can at least start with the belief and then prove it. But even guys with experience, they haven't fully tapped into the full power of getting rid of that belief because they haven't taken the time to just realize how much women don't like, or how much women do like men. So, yeah. Like I said, go give it some thought. If you want insights like these on a personal level, where I kind of go into your psyche and pick apart what you need to be changed, or what about you needs to be changed, and how you can tweak your approach to women, and you want fast results, and you want to fundamentally change the way you approach women, you should think about coaching. So it is going to cost you time, effort, and money. But I think a lot more people have the money than you think if you're willing to make sacrifices elsewhere. It just depends how important this is to you. To me, it was one of the most important things in the world. For someone else, it might not be. But eventually it will be, because eventually you're going to get married, and eventually you're going to want to start a family. And who you do that with is going to cost you a lot more if it goes bad than whatever you're going to pay me for coaching. So think about that too. Best way to learn. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. Love you guys. Go fuck yourself. Bye.